Hey guys, Bethany Wilson here with Rough Beginnings Rehab, and I had something that I wanted to talk to you all about, something you may not know about that's happening. There is a bit of a movement that is gaining some steam where you don't train your dog. They are actively promoting to get consent from your dog. You don't ask anything really of your dog. So, sounds a bit extreme, right? Well, there's a sub layer to that that's kind of happening where you don't have to get consent. It's an animal, but you don't train your dog so much. It's beyond force free or hardcore force free to the point where, you know what, don't even ask for a sit from your dog anymore. And by force free, I mean there's a term called force free training, so it goes even further than that. It's like no training, really, little or none. There's an illustration done that's being turned into a book that talks about it's gaining, a lot of ground and a lot of support, and it's really fascinating. And I wanted to share my opinions on it with you and what the book is, or the illustrations. It'll be a book. It's about a dog that is terrified of everything. Walking them on a leash is a nightmare. Terrified of most people. Scared of some dogs. Things like that. In the house, it just kind of sits around all day and is pretty calm and relaxed. They get this new dog in. They work with behaviorists. They work with other trainers. And they're trying to build food drive and connect with this dog. And it's just not working. If anything, the dog is getting more introverted, okay? More introverted is what it seemed like. So this is where the interesting part for me comes into play. In the illustration, it said that I decided to stop asking for a sit when greeting people. I decided to stop asking for a sit when greeting dogs. I decided to stop asking anything of my dog. And I thought, wow, that's actually part of our training course that we do. So let me explain. Advocate for your dog. Stop putting pressure on your dog. Stop forcing them to be in situations where it feels like they're in a pressure cooker, and so they get more resistant to instruction. Right? And so that to me is what really stood out, is that that's actually an element of our training for dogs that are fearful or fear aggressive. Right down to the point of, pretty sure she made it sound like this dog was starting to growl a little bit. I could be wrong. That might have been something else I read. But anyway, I thought that was fascinating. That's what I took from it is, wow, the reason their dog improved is because they were putting a lot of pressure on a new dog that was terrified, and it needed to have pressure taken off of it. Like when we get in a dog that's really, really scared, we don't ask for sit and down. We ask for walking on a leash relatively decently and the come command over and over while we build drive. And then we food drive, and then we teach it to target place. Those are our main things. And then we do thresholds, which help calm the dog down and help establish that we are in some control of what they're doing. But we stop putting pressure on them as far as dogs, people. We actually like to see them, or we actually like them to see us send people and dogs away. So if a dog comes up to, our fearful dog, they actually see us control the space and control the environment and send that dog or person away. And that's kind of what this was, is that it actually, one of the illustrations was that way, if my dog is in a sit and a dog comes up, they have to greet. So we stopped asking for that. Now, if a dog comes up and my dog doesn't like it, the dog can move away. I'm like, well, yeah, that's natural animal behavior. That's why that's working, right? And that's exactly what we say, except for us, to go a little bit further, we say advocate and send the other dog away, just because honestly, you have a fearful dog, a lot of dogs will become more pushy and not give that dog a break, even when they move away. So that's a little bit of a change, I guess, but it was just really interesting to me that they think that the improvement has come, like the improvement that they've seen in their dog, and now they advocate for this type of training. The improvement they've seen in their dog is because they stopped asking anything of their dog. Or not anything, but they stopped asking basic commands and telling their dog to do things like that. I'm like, it's just fascinating to me, the way they are perceiving that situation. Whereas from a professional standpoint as a dog trainer, I'm like, well, it's obvious why that dog is improving. It's because you stopped putting so much pressure on the dog. Because yes, fearful dogs will shut down when you ask too much of them, and they will shut down or become aggressive or more fearful aggressive if you continue to pressure them, like it sounded like they were trying to do, or the other trainers were trying to do when they first started working the dog. So anyway, it's interesting. It's like, just kind of want to let you guys know that this is some of the stuff in the dog training world that we're seeing, movements that we're seeing, and how that's being perceived incorrectly. I'm very confident in saying incorrectly by that owner. I'm happy that they're seeing improvements, but they're not really realizing why, I suppose. And that's why, is that we actually went through a similar thing with Dusty, my border collie. I didn't want to build a ton of food drive with him to make him like men and children. And I was honestly really busy at the time, just like I am now, and counter conditioning with food is really great. We do it with all the board and trained dogs, but it's just not something that I was interested in. And so, you know what? I'm going to try just not letting anybody greet him for months, maybe even more, and advocate for him and not letting anybody put any pressure on him. And by doing that, it took such a weight off of him that he just became friendlier. But it didn't happen overnight. It happened over the course of many, many months, to the point where on a hike, a guy could bend down and pet him. And sometimes he just took it. Like, he didn't love it, but he was fine with it. And other times he just moved away. Whereas if he's in heel next to me on leash and someone approaches, still to this day, I'm like, no, stop. Because he doesn't like that type of pressure. So I advocate for him. So he becomes more relaxed. And so he just became friendlier by me taking pressure off of him. It's basically the same thing that happened with this woman. But anyway, it's fascinating stuff, and it's something that I wanted to share with you, and it's a point of view that I wanted to share with you.